So engaged in a task that you lose your sense of consciousness, your sense of self. There's no voice in your head monitoring your actions, questioning whether or not your own ability will be enough. Instead of thinking about thinking or thinking about doing, you are instead simply engaged in the act of thinking, the act of doing. Self-consciousness evaporates. You are channeling all of your energy into the task at hand and have no mental resources left over to question whether or not your ability will be enough. Perhaps this total engagement occurred while you were in the zone at a sports match. Maybe you were tackling a challenging physics problem. Perhaps you were playing music, and for a few minutes you weren't just reciting a pattern of notes from memory, but instead were producing sound that was truly an extension of yourself. All of these examples speak to the idea of living in the moment, an idea that has been reiterated time and time again throughout history. And seriously, it has been. Despite the fact that we most often associate this general idea with Buddhism, many of the most monumental minds in human history have alluded to the importance of engagement and presence. "There is no greater harm than time wasted," said Michelangelo. "You must live in the present. Launch yourself on every wave. Find your eternity in each moment," spoke Thoreau. In the 1970s, Mahai Csikszentmihalyi, today widely considered the world's leading positive psychologist, described a state of flow characterized by intense concentration, merging of action and awareness, loss of reflective self-consciousness, sense of control, distortion of time, and importantly, intrinsic enjoyment from performing the activity itself. "It is in this state," he said, "that creativity and performance are optimized." The list goes on and on and on. So here we have a long, rich history of great minds from all walks of life, concluding that all there is the present moment. And the best way for us to maximize ourselves and our potential is to live in that moment. And yet this historical precedent is largely ignored in Western culture. We acknowledge products of greatness with respect and admiration, but tend to disregard the process by which those products were created. We stand in awe of the towering intellect of Albert Einstein and wonder, how? How is it possible for one person to have such unbelievable, elegant insights? We act as if these creative geniuses possess something that we don't, despite the fact that Einstein himself tells us that the whole of science is nothing more than a refinement of everyday thinking, that all of our scientific insights can be attributed to people being willing to trust and engage with their thoughts on a day-to-day basis. Instead of embracing these ideas, we partition them off in Western culture as if they somehow don't apply to us and our real-world lives. In Western society, these ideas of living in the moment largely fall under the domain of spirituality, something which is an individual, not a societal concern. Moreover, our society does not fundamentally value presence in the moment. We live in a culture driven by consumption. We are constantly being bombarded by advertisements that tell us that we need something else to be liked, to be happy, to be admired by others. At every turn, technology and social media pull us away from simply existing in the present moment. Our education system is becoming permeated with the ideology of building a resume, such that the value of extracurricular activities is reduced to their ability to get you into college or land you that high-paying job. Combined, these factors reinforce the gap between our real-world, everyday lives and our ability to engage and live in the moment. So what is going to bridge the gap? What will allow Western culture to not just acknowledge these ideas, but actually incorporate them into the way that we structure our society and live our lives? It is my opinion that the catalyst lies in the expanding body of empirical data that will force us, whether we like it or not, to accept these ideas as more than just pseudoscience. Scientific interest in meditation, yoga, and the state of flow has been exploding in the last 10 years, and the results are showing that the benefits of these practices are very real. Just for example, mindfulness has been linked to a greater number of connections in the brain, more compassion and empathy, a stronger ability to focus. Here we see a headline from an NPR story reporting on a meta-study released just earlier in 2014 that reviewed 47 of the most scientifically rigorous studies on meditation. And it found that an 8-week mindfulness training program was just as effective as antidepressant medication in reducing mild anxiety and depression. Moreover, emerging research in fields like developmental psychology, biology, quantum physics, and neuropsychology is not just showing that these practices yield real results, but why these practices yield real results, that we truly are embedded in a moment that is bigger than ourselves. For my TED Talk, I would like to discuss this research and the implications that it has for the way that Western culture approaches and understands human development, psychology, and happiness. It is my hope that a deeper collective understanding of the moment and our connection to it will allow us to structure our society in such a way that